Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It is Tuesday. It's July 2nd. It is 2024. We have 11 game baseball slate to talk about here on today's podcast, joined today by my good buddy Keith Eys819. Keith, what's happening, my friend?
Not too much. Really light baseball night on Monday night, so only played one lineup. Probably not going to do anything with that, but nice big slate, of course, for us here on a Tuesday. We were tilting a little bit pre-show about the race on Sunday. You absolutely nailed it. I was absolutely crushing with 2 laps to go until the Cindric spin sent everything into chaos. But great call by you on the race, as per usual. Was almost a really big day for me, but ended up slightly down. But it was on the border of a great epic race for me.
Yeah, tilting is one thing. Like a $8,000 swing and a qualifier seed, I think, is what the last lap of that race where Truex and Suarez got into each other cost me. And like I was doing really well when Cindric had to spin, and then when Hamlin finally had to pit and like Truex had to pit, like I went way down because Blaney had like everyone kind of like, and then I was like, oh, here we are on the last restart. And I'm like, man, all my guys have gas and I'm not worried about any of them running out, and I'm winning tournaments. So it was like, just go straight. And of course, 2 of my 6 wreck each other. So yeah,
Brutal.
Well, we got 11 baseball games to talk about. I only played one baseball team, ended up stacking the Mets against Gore, like I talked about on the podcast. And I am 4Xing right now, so I'm not complaining about that. What's up, chat? I posted the morning grind contest for Tuesday in chat on YouTube. I'll also try to remember to pin it to the YouTube comment section as well for people not watching live. But get in that contest. The winner of that contest will get a 3-day premium pass to RotoGrinders. If you already have that, you can get a weekend pass to the NASCAR product. I don't care. If you have both of those, gift it to somebody or give it away. I mean, whatever you want to do. So get in that contest and come take it down. I'm going to build a lineup on as we're going, and that's what lineup I'm not going to edit unless there's somebody not playing. So that'll be the lineup I run in the morning grind contest. So those are always my favorite lineups anyway. So Richie said, I've never seen the top of Stevie's head before. I've not wore a hat like 3 times in the last like month. I am like doing some stuff in the office right now, and like a lot of my hats are like put away right now because I've been like reorganizing the office, and I'm just not gonna lie. I sat down and I was like, man, I'm lazy. I don't want to get back up. So that's why. All right, let's talk 11 games. We got baseball, 11 games, a lot to talk about. A lot of games, a lot of close pick'em games, a lot of props out already. Should be a fun podcast. Cincinnati at New York is where we start. 8.5 total. Yankees a huge 200 favorite here. Graham Ashcraft against Luis Hill. Let's go Ashcraft first. Any interest here in Ashcraft?
No Ashcraft for me. I know the Yankees have been struggling a little bit recently, but they're still one of the best offenses in baseball. I'm not playing Ashcraft here.
Yeah, low strikeout offense. Ashcraft just not pitching well. Let's just call it how it is. He's just not pitching well. Over the last 30 days, he has an 11.5% strikeout rate. Just not missing any bats right now. And like you look at some of the matchups, like he faced Pittsburgh, he faced Colorado in Colorado, but he faced like Chicago. Like there's some strikeout matchups that he had outside of like the Dodgers, and like he's just really, really been struggling. We'll talk about the Yankees on the other side of this in just a second. Luis Hill on the other side of this one, 2 back-to-back starts that he has pitched really bad, and really like 3 of his last 4. Even like the Red Sox game, he didn't have like a huge ceiling game. He pitched okay. He walked a lot of guys. Any interest here in Luis Hill?
I'm concerned. The walks seem to be going in the wrong direction, as do the strikeouts. So I definitely do have my concerns with Luis Hill. But let's look at his opponents over his last 4 or 5 starts. He's faced the Mets, who are absolutely red hot. Baltimore's one of the best offenses in baseball. The Red Sox are red hot, or were when he faced them a couple weeks ago. The Dodgers are one of the best offenses in baseball, and the Twins have been red hot as well. Those are his last 5. That's a murderer's row of opponents. So I don't like the trends that I'm seeing with Luis Gil, but I'm intrigued. I think we get him at really low ownership here, and Cincinnati is certainly prone to strike out. So it would not surprise me if we see a spike strikeout game here from Gil. If he's low owned, I have some interest. I still have reservations. The control is my biggest concern, but I'm interested here as the price has crept under 10K.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at some of the underlining stats all season, like he's had a 218 BABIP all year, and like if we look at his last 30 days, his BABIP is closer to average around 300, and the walks are way up, the strikeouts are way down. The WOBA 265 on the year, 370 over the last 30 days for him. So a lot of underlining numbers that are concerning, like hard hit rate up, whiff rate down, swinging strike rate down, barrel rate up. Like matchups play a little bit to that, like you were talking about, but I mean, a lot of these numbers are concerning. The benefit for Gil here is like the Cincinnati lineup, young and talented when fully healthy, but not fully healthy right now. They're dealing with some injuries. Friddle's out. McLean has been out. And Encarnacion is out. Stevenson, he was on the paternity list and then got transferred to family medical emergency list. So he can miss another 3 to 7 days. So I doubt he's in the lineup. I'm hoping, I haven't read, but I'm hoping that it's nothing with the baby. or wife. Hoping positive thoughts to Stevenson on that aspect. So, I mean, the lineup could be really good for him is kind of what I was getting at. So I think like I'm on the fence right now, but if he gets like this watered down Reds lineup, it's going to be hard not to have some exposure to him on this slate. Let's talk Cincinnati bats. Any interest here in the Reds bats?
Be a full stack for me. You just hope that Gil loses his control and just cannot find the strike zone. They could rack up some runs in a hurry, and you get into the early part of that Yankees bullpen. So that's the only thing I would be playing for. I think Gil dominates them more often than he does not, but there's certainly outcomes where Gil walks 4 guys in the first 2 innings and is sitting at 70 pitches, and they don't send him out there for the third. So full stack for me would be the only way to go here.
Yeah, only way I would play the Reds today. I'm 100% in agreement with you. Let's talk Yankees. You know, one of the things that's interesting here is like both of these bullpens are top 15 bullpens. So like the Reds bullpen has been really solid this year. I know because I stack in the Great American Small Park way more than I should, but their bullpen's actually been pretty good. Ashcraft has been awful. I mean, this guy, like we talked about in his last 30-day numbers, like he can't miss bats right now. I love a Yankee stack because with Stanton out of the lineup right now, and I mean, just missing some key pieces like Rizzo and Stanton, like the stack is a way cheaper. Like you can play Judge and Soto in your Yankee stacks and feel really good about your Yankee stack. So, I mean, I think the Yankees are a top stack today.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ashcraft is not going to miss any bats, so there's going to be plenty of contact here, and there's plenty of power in the lineup with Judge and Soto. Torres is a guy that I've played a ton this season just because he's been so cheap. It's been a real struggle for him, but I'm still believing that he's going to find the talent that's made him a pretty good hitter over the last 4 or 5 years. Verdugo is cheap. Ben Rice is in there as a punt option. So, yeah, I'm with you. It's pretty easy to go up top for the 2 studs and then fill in with some of these cheapies.
And Easy says heel regression. Like a lot of the numbers have been suggesting that like he's had regression coming for the last month and a half. I mean, this isn't anything like new. So I don't disagree. I mean, we've seen like you can't continue to have like a 215 BABIP with like his pitch mix. So it was eventually going to happen a little bit. It's just happening way more than I think anyone expected. Like he's just not missing a lot of bats right now. Houston at Toronto, 8.5 total in this game. It's a pick'em game. We got Spencer Arrighetti against Jose Barrios. Any interest here in Mr. Spaghetti?
I do have some. Toronto doesn't strike out a ton, so that gives me concern for the upside. But at 7,600, I think he can go out there and pitch 6 or 7 innings, and the strikeout rate has been really solid for him this season. So if he goes 6 innings and gets me 5 or 6 Ks, is that enough on a big slate? I think it's close. Obviously, coming off that great start against Colorado where he struck out 10, don't expect a game like that here against Toronto, who's been much better here over the last couple of weeks. Vlad is really getting hot, finally starting to hit the ball in the air. We're seeing balls fly out of the park. A guy that hits it as hard as he does, that's all he needs is a little elevation in that swing. So a little concern here for the matchup, but I do have interest here at the price.
Yeah, I mean, I hate playing this guy. It's very well documented that like I absolutely hate playing this guy. But I played him last time out against the Rockies. I don't think I'm going to play him today. I mean, again, there's only 2 hitters in this lineup with strikeout rates over 20%. Really, like 2 getters only over like 17%. They continue to have one of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball. And like, he's really not been great. And his strikeouts are higher against lefties than they are against righties. Like, just for me, I hope he's popular because of his 38 that he just put up. But I mean, he's really only been able to do it against like high strikeout teams. Like, where is his strikeouts in the matchups? Colorado, Seattle, he had a good strikeout day. Oakland, he had a good strikeout day. The Cubs earlier this season, I could see him pitching like 5, 6 decent innings. I just don't think he's going to strike anybody out. Like 5 or 6 innings with like 3 or 4 Ks, giving up 2 to 4 runs, not enough for him. So it's an 11-game slate. I can be somewhat picky, and I think I'll be picky with him. Jose Barrios on the other side of this game. I mean, if Houston rolls out the same lineup that they did against Rodriguez, so tilted, still about missing
Noel
that.
Tuve. You knew it was going south as soon as we saw Noel Tuve in that Houston lineup.
Yeah,
he got on strikeouts for Rodriguez, and
he got through his first 2 innings, and it was like, oh man, we're not hitting this one today. Any interest here in Barrios?
No interest for me. Houston, despite their poor performance for us on Monday night, is still a very low strikeout offense. Expect Altuve back in the lineup here. Barrios' strikeouts are way down this season. I'm not playing him.
I did say, like, if I was going to pick one home run on the slate, it would be Yordan Alvarez, and he hit a home run. So I got something right. I'm not playing Barrios today either. I assume that Altuve, it was just like a day off situation. They had been playing a lot just in general. So we should have mentioned when we were talking about Arrighetti, like Vlad did miss Monday with like a finger issue. So could potentially bump up Arrighetti a little bit if he's out of the lineup because Jansen's on the paternity list too. He'll miss the next few days. So that obviously hurts the lineup a little bit. Let's talk Houston bats. What do we like here for the Astros?
Yeah, I mean, I assume Altuve will be back in there. He's obviously a great option. I prefer lefties against Barrios, so I do prefer Alvarez if only going up for one of them. But the way Houston's set up similarly to the Yankees, you have the 2 studs at the top, and everybody else is cheap. So it's pretty easy to stack them. Barrios is still an above-average pitcher, even though the strikeouts are way down. So it won't be a spot that I attack very often. But just because of their upside as one of the top 10 or so offenses in baseball, in a 20 lineup build, I'll probably have 1 or 2 Houston stacks.
Love Yordan Alvarez again.
Yeah.
Outside of that, the lineup is just ugly. But Barrios isn't a high strikeout guy. There's going to be a lot of contact here, but like he gives up the power to lefties. So Yordan Alvarez, it's just like they don't have those power lefties in the lineup right now. Tucker being out of the lineup is so massive. It's so massive. Toronto bats, any interest here in Toronto?
This would be a full stack only for me in this spot. Arrighetti has the same control issues that Heel has. So if he's just off today and walks a bunch of guys, we could see the early part of the Houston bullpen. That's what I would be attacking here. If Vlad's out, it's going to be a really cheap stack. Even with Vlad in there, he's only 4,600. And I mentioned he's been heating up quite a bit here over the past week or two. It's another pretty cheap stack here. Bichette is down to 4,300. He's been pretty bad. Springer's still really cheap. He's starting to turn it around a little bit. Varsho under 4K. So it's cheap enough. I'll probably have a stack or 2.
Man, Doyle hit another one.
Nice.
Keith, my lineup, man. It looks good today.
Climbing.
Yeah. Up to 150 DK points with the only lineup. Varsho, Horwitz, Vlad. I could build around like that 3-man. Springer he is just not hitting the ball hard, and he's not hitting the ball in the air. So it's really like Springer has a 53% ground ball rate and a 19% fly ball rate this year. And it's like Bo Bichette really need to face like fly ball guys for those guys to like be able to play. And a little bit fly ball tendencies to lefties, but the righties have been able to keep the ball on the ground. So I really like Varsho. Varsho is a guy that has a lot of pop, and he's going to benefit from like this guy having some fly ball tendencies.
Quick note on Springer, just because I was watching the game today, it was a standalone game, and the broadcast was talking about an adjustment that he's made. I forget exactly what it was now, but he has been much better here recently. He's got a hit in 8 straight games or something like that. Stole a base on Monday night as well, so that's two games in a row with a steal. So Springer might have figured something out. So if you want to be early on that, just wanted to point that out.
They hire a new hitting coach, and Vlad and Springer start hitting the ball up in the air finally.
Miracle, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh man, just amazing, right? Yeah. Hey, great note. Fantastic note. So San Francisco at Atlanta, 8.5 total in this game. Atlanta, 196 favorite. Hayden Birdsong, Renato Lopez. Any interest here in Birdsong making his second start of the year?
Yeah, this is a guy we talked up quite a bit when we thought he was making his MLB debut. Ended up coming a couple of days after we talked about him. But I believe in the stuff here. He had 5 strikeouts in that MLB debut against the Cubs. The changeup is absolutely legit. He's going to generate swings and misses with that. At 6K and a pitcher that can generate strikeouts, I'm interested. I know it's a tough matchup against Atlanta. Atlanta's offense hasn't been quite what we thought it was going to be. And with Acuna out, it's even weaker. I think I have some interest here at 6K.
Yeah, I mean, the Atlanta lineup, the heart of the Atlanta lineup is still very good. Albies, Ozuna, Olsen, Riley. But the bottom half of this lineup is just awful now. Like with some injuries and stuff, and hitters missing, Harris being out also hurts the bottom half of this lineup. Like Duvall, Murphy, Arcia, Luke Williams, like whoever draws the bottom half of this lineup, just not great. So I could see him beating the bottom half. It's just the top half is scary. So yeah, I mean, could you take shots on him? Sure. He's 6K. He has some strikeout stuff. I want to see what the weather looks like in Atlanta too, because the ball might be a fly in this game. So I'd like his price a lot better than it was against the Cubs. 6K and has some strikeout stuff. The walks, that's what we're definitely worried about when we were talking about Birdsong the other day.
For sure.
Renato Lopez, 9,600. I mean, he's just going to keep doing his thing, right? Just going to go out and throw, 5 or 6 good innings, give up a run or 2, strike out 5 or 6, and call it a day. I mean, that's what Renato Lopez has been doing all year, and the Giants are not a scary matchup. I just don't know if he has enough upside to pay off 96, but I mean, I think he has to be on your list today. He's under 10K against the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about regression for this guy, and the ERA is still going to come up a little bit, but I believe he's an above average starting pitcher with above average strikeouts. Is he going to pay off 9,600 in this matchup? That I have a little bit more concern for. San Francisco does not strike out a ton. They're right around the middle of the pack. I don't think I need him on this slate. There's a couple pitchers for just a few more dollars that I think have way more upside. So I don't think I'm getting to all that much Lopez here today.
I understand the guys you're going to talk about, and I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, at a 20 max, I'll probably leave Lopez in my pool today. Any interest in the Giants bats here?
No, Lopez has been good enough. They're going to do their platoon thing. They still pinch hit often enough where I'd probably just stay away in a matchup against a good starter.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that I think like Lopez is okay today is because, I mean, I really don't have any interest in the Giants bats. And as far as the Atlanta bats, it's a young pitcher that has struggled with command a little bit in his first start. Like he starts struggling if he starts struggling with command against the top half of this Braves lineup, Atlanta stack has to be on the board today.
Yeah, totally agree. I love stacking against guys with walk issues. Birdsong has had walk issues all throughout the minors, so we love the swing and miss stuff, but he also has no idea where it's going at times. So could definitely see a situation where he's walking a couple of guys and then tries to throw something over the plate and it ends up over the fence. That's kind of how these things work. That's why we like stacking against pitchers with control issues. So tons of interest in the Brave stack.
Detroit at Minnesota, 7.5 total. Detroit a slight 120 favorite. We got Tariq Skubal against Simeon Woods Richardson. Sorry, can't talk. Skubal, a guy that we've loved this year. I mean, the guy has been a legit stud all season. We finally saw some strikeouts and dominance come back. The strikeouts have been there. The dominance finally came back. What are we doing here with Skubal at 10-5?
Yeah, I mean, he's, for my money, a top 5 pitcher in baseball at this point. I don't love this matchup for him. Minnesota has been a top 3 offense in baseball over the past 30 days. They got healthy. As soon as they got Royce Lewis back, this team just absolutely took off. So I love Skubal. I think he could absolutely go out here and strike out 10, but I think there's a lot of risk in this start as well. So tournaments only for me, probably. I'll have to see what his ownership looks like. If he's coming in 30% owned, I might end up under the field on him. But you have to play some just for the upside, even in a tough matchup. I do believe in this Minnesota offense. I believe in Skubal a little bit more, but I don't love the spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, they're third in WRC plus against left-handed pitching this season. I think they're second in WOBA. Yeah, second in WOBA, third in WRC plus, and like 6th in ISO, and they don't strike out. Like, they're under 20% against left-handed pitching. So, like, I think the chalk today is Rodriguez against Seattle. Like, towards the top, and probably for good reason, and we'll talk about him in just a few minutes. But I love the ceiling. I like chasing ceiling even in tough matchups, and I think Skubal is a guy where you want to chase the ceiling, like just in general. So I don't think he comes in at 30%. I think he comes in closer to 15 to 20%, and I'm willing to chase the ceiling at that. So
yeah,
I like him a lot. Every start, man. I think I've played him in every start he's had this year. I haven't thought twice about it. And just a guy that's been absolute dominant. Like, he's in the running for Cy Young, and he pitches for Detroit. Woods Richardson, we're finally starting to see the regression come on this guy. I mean, we've been talking about it all year. I know I have anyway. Like, I feel like this is one of the guys that the regression monster was eventually going to catch up, and it really has caught up. We look at like recently, and he's still getting hit very hard, and the BABIP is still very low, and it's like just waiting for it to an explosion game to happen against him. I just don't know if Detroit is the right team. What are your thoughts here on Woods Richardson?
Yeah, it's a good matchup, right? That's the concern, and he's still cheap. He's going to go out there for about 90 pitches, which is enough at 7,200. Detroit strikes out enough. I'm tempted by the upside. I don't think he's very good. He's had a better season than he deserves. That's for certain. Like, the underlying metrics say, there's still even more regression coming. But do I think he can go out there and throw 6 innings and strike out 6 and give up 2 runs? Yes. Is that 20? Then if that's 20 DK points, assuming he limits the hits and the walks, I'm interested in that at 7,200. It's not a play I'm going to be way overweight on or anything, but he's in the pool at 7,200.
Yeah, I think he's in the pool of it too. Let's talk about the Detroit bats. Any interest here in Detroit?
Just checking some prices here. They're cheap is the thing. Riley Green's expensive, as he should be. He's been pretty good this season. There's not a lot of talent throughout the rest of the lineup. I think as a mini stack to fit in top tier pitching, I'd be okay with it. Not a full stack for me. I don't think there's enough upside here. That's part of why I have some interest in Woods Richardson. But as a mini stack, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Verling got scratched on Sunday. I remember seeing the report for him, and lineup is just bad. It's just a really, really bad lineup. It's like Detroit's lineup was doing okay, and then it's like right back to being Detroit's lineup again. If that makes any kind of sense. I know it makes sense for most people, but if you're not like a baseball person, then you won't get that. I like Riley Green. I could one-off Riley Green here. I have no issues with it. He's expensive, so he'll be like a really low-owned one-off. So if you're playing like a chalky pitching stack or playing like a chalky stack just in general, and you're like, hey, how do I get different? Riley Green's an excellent one-off. This guy continues to crush right-handed pitching, and the only problem with Riley Green is, I mean, you could pitch around him. His walk rate's up to 13.5% because you can kind of pitch around him right now because Jake Rogers is sitting behind him and Carson Kelly and Perez. So that's the problem with Green. Minnesota bats, tough matchup for Minnesota against Scoble. Any interest here in Minnesota?
No interest in Minnesota. They've been outstanding against lefties, but this is one of the best lefties in baseball. So I'm out. They're not even that cheap. Like Lewis is still over $6K. Buxton's price has come up a little bit now. Jeffers is 45 on. Like if I was going to one off anyone, it would probably be Jeffers. I like his price there, but definitely not stacking against Scooble here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to play Minnesota today. If he was going to be chalky, I could say, like, let's roll out a Minnesota leverage stack because, like, Lewis, Santana, Buxton, Castro have all been phenomenal against left-handed pitching this season. I know I'm missing somebody else. Oh, Correa, right? Correa.
Yep. Carlos
Correa has been great against lefties this year, too. Like, a guy that we thought was dust, hitting the ball well again this year. That's good to see for Minnesota after the contract stuff. I just don't think I could do it. Like, if it was going to be, like, if he is, maybe we're wrong, right? Maybe we open up Lineup HQ tomorrow afternoon and we're like, oh, man, Tariq is 30% projected ownership. Then maybe you could look at a Minnesota leverage stack because of how good they've been. But I just don't see myself getting to it today. Philadelphia at Chicago, taking on your Cubs, 9.5 total in this one. Cubs a slight 126 favorite. Mercado against Wazinski. Any interest here in Michael Mercado?
I like the matchup. This Cubs offense has been terrible. I'm really concerned about the leash here. Pitched out of the bullpen in his first outing. Didn't even work that deep in his minor league outings. He did go 6-5 his last 6 innings and 5 innings right before he got called up, but he's got a bunch of 3-inning starts in there this season. So I'm a little bit concerned about the upside just due to the leash here. So I probably leave him on the shelf. If he was 4K, I'd have interest, but at 7K, no thanks.
7K, pitch concerns, wind blowing out in Wrigley. No chance that I'm playing this guy today. Your boy Wazinski too. Wind blowing out, pitch concerns. Tough matchup against Phillies. 6,300.
We got to talk about that because Schwarber's on the IL, Harper's on the IL.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you're right. They are a watered down Philly lineup.
Yeah,
sure. I'm still not playing him.
So I'm on the fence on this one with the wind blowing out. Like his biggest issue is lefty power. We've known that ever since.
Yeah,
what he made his debut 2 years ago, I think, if it was last year, whatever. He's been just constantly crushed by left-handed pitching. It's his biggest weakness. Philly does have the ability to get pretty left-handed on him, but they're bad lefties is the only thing. So I will definitely be playing those cheap, bad lefties against him, but I think there's some strikeout upside here. If the wind's blowing out and it's warm, it's going to be a lot more difficult to click the button, but I'm not ruling him out just yet.
Well, they got Stott, Marsh, Clemens, Dahl, and the catcher that is it Marchand. So that's 5.
Is the lefty? Yeah.
I mean, they got Marchand too. Marchand's a lefty, I'm pretty sure. I think he's a switch hitter. So that's at least 5 lefties.
Yeah.
So I think that's still too many.
Yeah, I agree.
And the righties that are in there: Trey Turner, low strikeout guy; Alec Boehm, low strikeout guy. Castellanos, his strikeouts have come way down this year. Whit Merrifield, when he's been playing, not hitting for any power whatsoever, but his strikeout rate's like 12%. I noticed that the other day. So, again, it's just, I don't know. I don't expect this guy to throw more than 75 pitches. And I think that on a slate like this, we need at least a little bit of ceiling. And I don't know. I think there's enough lefties for me.
72 in the last one. If it's going well, I think they'd let him go 85.
85. Yeah, I mean, what is it? We always say 15-ish
15,
pitches
like,
increase.
like 87. So I think 85 to 90 is the range.
So 5 innings. Still going to give up home runs. Yeah, I'm out. I'm still out. I'm not getting talked into this just because Harper and Schwarber are on the IL. Real Muto doesn't bother me too much. It actually gives us another lefty in the lineup. But let's talk about those Philly bats because I like them a lot today. Even as bad as they sound, I mean, again, when Wazinski struggles, it's lefty power. They don't have a lot of lefty power, but they got a lot of lefties.
Yeah, and they're all cheap. Like Stott's 4,900, so he's priced up. But you have Marsh at 4K, Clemens at 3,900, Stubbs at 2,800. Like they're all cheap. I'm missing somebody in there. There's still a couple. There's just a ton of Stott. I said, a ton of cheap lefties. And that's what we want to target. You can stack 4 cheap lefties with one of Bohm or Turner, and that's my favorite way to attack this. Like Turner's stolen base upside, I think, is going to come into play here. Wisniewski's pretty easy to run on as well. So I don't even hate paying $6K for Turner.
Yep. Wind blowing out too. It is the night before, but as of right now, we're getting like 15 miles an hour out to left center and like 80-degree weather. So should be good hitting conditions in Wrigley today. And I mean, let's go to the other side. And the other side, we're talking about a pitcher that we have no intentions, or I don't think there's any intentions of this guy going more than like 50 pitches. I'd be shocked if he throws more than 50 pitches here. Like you said, it wasn't very stretched out in the minors. He only threw 15 pitches a week ago, 5 days ago, 6 days ago. He hasn't pitched in between outside of like a bullpen. They want him to like replace Tajon Walker, but he's just not stretched out at all. So I would be shocked if he throws more than 50 pitches. So you're getting kind of a bullpen game. I definitely don't mind getting some Cubs with good hitting conditions here, but Philly has a top 5 bullpen. One of the things that we should mention is this does turn into a bullpen game. They're going to platoon against them. They had Monday off. The bullpen we should have a full bullpen ready to go here against the Cubs. So if the Cubs get super chalky on this slate as a pivot off of Coors, Dallas Keuchel against Ryan Feltner and Coors, we're going to have interest in that game. If the Cubs get chalky, I could see myself ending up underweight on the Cubs because of how good the Philly bullpen is. I don't think this guy's going to go deep. If he gets in any trouble, I think they yank him quick. They're fresh. I mean, they can roll out guys for 1 or 2 innings and use up that bullpen.
Yeah, I'm with you. If the Cubs are popular, I'm not going to be all that interested. They're going to match up with the bullpen, like you said. Bellinger and Suzuki are both very expensive. I like the price for Morel. I like the price for Happ, and I like the price for Michael Busch. But Bellinger and Suzuki are going to be tough for me to get to. Swanson's 3,700. He's been better of late as well. PCA is probably going to be in there at 3K. Offers some speed upside. I don't hate it, but I'm not interested if they're going to be popular.
And like, I wouldn't one off them if they're going to have some ownership today. Just stack them. Bullpen game, just stack them. I mean, that's how I would approach the Cubs today. San Diego at Texas, 7.5 total. Pick'em game. Dylan Cease, Nathan Eovaldi. 2 quality arms here going up against each other against 2 quality offenses. Dylan Cease absolutely dominated Washington last time out. Over 8 strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts. We know the leash is fantastic. What are we doing with Dylan Cease in Texas?
Yeah, I'm playing him. I will be curious to see where the ownership comes in. This is like it's going to be him or Screwball that ends up getting spiked up a little bit. I think. I feel like it's going to be Cease that is the one that catches the ownership. I still think there's a ton of upside here. You mentioned the leash; he's routinely over 100 pitches. Texas is dealing with some injuries. They don't strike out all that much, but Cease has the type of stuff where I don't really pay attention to opponent when you have one of the best swinging strike rates, one of the best strikeout rates. Like he's an elite strikeout pitcher. It's what he does. I have a lot of interest here. Texas's lineup being watered down only helps.
What are we doing with I agree with you, by the way. I have a ton of interest in Dylan Cease today, especially if Seager doesn't play. He's dealing with like a wrist injury and could easily miss some time here. like they were talking about how much it was like swelling on Monday. So I highly doubt Seager, the best hitter in this lineup, is in the lineup today, which helps Dylan Cease as well. Fernando Tatis out of the lineup right now for San Diego. What are we doing with Eovaldi in this spot?
Yeah, this is a tough one because it's the length that you're going to need. Like San Diego doesn't strike out all that much. And Eovaldi's not a huge strikeout guy. He's slightly above league average, but not like a 28% or anything. He's right around 24% this season. The leash is starting to come back, though. And when this guy is healthy, he has one of the longest leashes in baseball. Threw 101 pitches his last time out, 98 the time before that. So I think we're looking at 100-plus pitches here. That's enough to go 7, 8, 9 innings. And if San Diego can't get any hits off of him and he goes 8 innings with 7 strikeouts or 6 strikeouts, I'm interested in that. I don't love the price tag at 8,900 because I don't think the 8-inning outing is all that likely of an outcome, but it's definitely in play. So he's in the pool for me, I think. I'm concerned about the upside, though, just because of the matchup against San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep saying it. He is a reverse splits pitcher, and it's this pitch mix that makes him a reverse splits pitcher. He has so much more upside against lefties because of his split finger and where he throws his four-seamer and his split finger out of the same tunnel, and then he generates strikeouts with the curveball and cutter. Like, that's why he's reverse splits, and I'll keep talking about it. And I think he's going to get 5 or 6 lefties in this lineup today. I mean, Arya, as we know, just doesn't strike out. I think the dude has like a 3% strikeout rate on the season. He just one of the best contact hitters in baseball for the last 5 years. Like his numbers are insane. They're just incredible. But outside of that, I mean, like Profar, Cronenworth, like he could take it, like kind of hurt the lefties in this lineup. Cronenworth, Profar, Murrell, and now we're just kind of worried about like Machado. Like I could see myself using some if he's going to be low owned on like a 20 entry 150 type build. But yeah, I mean, overall, you always worry about the strikeouts here. Chat saying that Cease is not pitching tomorrow.
I saw that. I just looked it up. He's officially listed on their MLB.com website. We have him listed on our starting lineups page. I'm not seeing anything that would indicate Cease is not pitching. So unless that just came out on Twitter or something, he's in there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm looking too, and it would make sense that it'd be Mazur unless they're going to push Mazur a day because Dylan Cease is just a beast. So it technically is Mazur's spot in the rotation, but I'm not everything I've read that I just quickly looked up again says Cease is pitching. So we're going to roll with that. All right, bats. Any interest in the bats here on the San Diego side?
I don't think so. Eovaldi's a solid enough pitcher where I don't really want to stack against him. He does a really good job of limiting damage. He goes deep into games as well. So I think I'm mostly out on San Diego.
Well, he said Mazur is listed on FanDuel. Well, that is your problem. You're looking on FanDuel.
Don't pay attention to that.
Man, I love FanDuel. I've been playing on FanDuel since 2009. I love FanDuel, but their projected starting lineups and pitchers and stuff has not been the best over the years. So we'll call it to that. So, yeah, I don't really have a lot of interest in the San Diego bats. Machado is really interesting, like a power standpoint. Eovaldi's reverse splitsy. Could Machado take Eovaldi yard? Would be a question. I don't know if I get to him though. I don't like Texas either. I mean, you could target a home run against Dylan Cease. How about my boy Wyatt Langford hitting for the cycle the other night? What
He's
up?
heating up, man. He's coming on.
He's healthy again. He's healthy again. That was awesome. Rookie cycle. That was really cool to see. But anyway, like if Seager's out, you really want to attack Cease with like power. Garcia, Simeon, my boy Langford. But I mean, overall, I'm probably not playing Texas bats here. Dylan Cease is a really good pitcher. It's an 11-game slate. We have a lot of bad pitchers on this slate. I don't see myself like targeting. Like you want lefty power against Cease. That's where you're going to beat Cease.
Yeah, And with Seager banged up, I probably just sit this one out. He's been better about giving up the home runs the last couple of years as well. So early in his career, he had a huge problem with lefty power. He's kind of fixed that at this point. So it's still the way to attack him, but it's just he's not as vulnerable as he used to be.
Moving right along, Tampa Bay at Kansas City, 9 total in this game. The Royals are 125 favorite. We should mention that, like, again, it's the night before, but there are some potential weather concerns in this game. It's the only one on the slate that I noticed, because I always look at weather for Wrigley, so I'm looking at weather just in general, and like this was the one spot that had some weather concerns. So we'll check and see what Roth has to say, because I'm not guessing. So Little against Singer. Any interest here in Zach Little?
I don't like picking on Kansas City. I know their numbers overall this season are not that great. But I believe in this offense. There's a lot of good young hitters in it. Getting Massey back helps lengthen the lineup. Witt's obviously a presence, as is Sal Perez. So not a lineup that I like to attack. He also gets a huge ballpark downgrade going out to Kansas City from Tampa Bay. And then if there's weather concerns on top of that, there's no chance I'm risking it. But even if there's no weather concerns, I think I'm out.
Yeah, let's tell like he really has been awful recently. And like beginning of the year, I remember the beginning of the year, it was like, all right, he had a couple really good like starts, and he's had a couple like really good outings, but like he struggled against Seattle last time out. I think that tells us everything that we need to know about where Zach Littell is right now. Like he struggled against Seattle. I mean, I'm getting the calls to pitch against Seattle, and he struggled against them. So, yeah, I mean, if you can't have an upside spot against Seattle, I just don't see you having an upside spot in general right now. And Kansas City is a good offense. They have a lot of good quality bats. I got a lot of notifications that Pasquantino hit some home runs this weekend. I don't play baseball on the weekends, so I get alerts for home runs because we have an awesome Twitter account, and you can just turn on notifications and see every home run. Awesome, just fantastic. Let's talk Brady Singer, 8,200. Not having the best year. His leash is definitely concerning. He's only topped 100 pitches one time in his last 7 starts. Like, Tampa's not a great offense. Any interest here in Brady Singer?
I never get Brady Singer right. I think he's a better real life pitcher than he is fantasy pitcher. Like his strikeouts just aren't where we want them to be. He's right at league average. It feels like he should be above league average. I'm not scared of the Tampa Bay offense, but I don't know what this guy's upside is. Like you said, he's not going to throw over 100 pitches more than likely. Tampa Bay makes enough contact where it's not a massive upside spot. The Tampa Bay bats are also getting a huge ballpark upgrade out in Kansas City. So I think I have enough options. I just leave Singer on the shelf further.
Yeah, he's fringy for me. Depending on the weather and stuff, he's fringy for me. If he's going to be low owned, maybe. Tampa is a very beatable lineup. They have a lot of strikeouts in the bottom half of this lineup, so he's fringy. And like, where do you take bats against him? Like, I mean, Brandon Lau at 3,800 is a good second base play potentially. But outside of that, I mean, do we trust anybody else here from Tampa?
No, that's the problem. That's why I'm considering him. Like, I don't have any interest in the Tampa Bay bats. Josh Lowe is okay. Rosarena has not been good this season. Paredes has been okay, but don't love him. I agree with you. Lau is my favorite hitter here. I'd probably put Josh Lowe next and then Paredes, but it's not a full stack for me. There's just not enough talent.
There's somebody else I wanted to mention, and I wanted to see what his price is really quick.
Palacios.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Kansas City bats. What do we like here? I mean, I like Kansas City. If the weather is good in this game, I might have a good amount of Kansas City stacks today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very top-heavy lineup. Like, it falls off a cliff down towards the bottom, but Witt's great. Perez is great. Pasquantino's great. Massey being in there gives you a little bit more length, and then you chase power from there with guys like Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez. So it's a pretty easy team to stack. For that reason, I'm in. It's a good ballpark, assuming that the weather is good and it's warm in Kansas City. We often get great hitting weather out here with plenty of humidity. So yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of Littell by any means. So I'm in on the Kansas City stack.
All right, let's talk Coors. We got Brewers and Rockies, 11.5 total. Milwaukee, 118 favorite. Dallas Keuchel, Ryan Feltner. Dallas Keuchel back in our lives. Hey, he's still not missing bats. Shocking. I'm absolutely shocked that a guy that lived on ground balls for years is not missing bats at the major league level when he's, 37, 38 years old? Never really had, overpowering stuff, too. Man, we can't do it, right? I know he's 5K, but we can't do that. I know it's the Rockies, but we can't do that. No.
Yeah, no way. No chance.
No chance. Feltner on the other side of this one. Any interest?
No interest. Milwaukee's really good against righties. Going into Coors for a massive ballpark upgrade, no thanks.
Yeah, by far my favorite stack on the slate. I can't even begin to say how much I love the Brewers this year. I think everyone that listens to the Morning Grind knows that I'm captain of the DFS Brewers Club. They're by far my top stack. It's not even remotely close. I want the Brewers no matter what today. Just no matter what.
Yeah. All that speed and Coors with the massive outfield. We could see
oh my gosh.
two to four triples from the Brewers in the spot. Along with stolen base upside. They've got plenty of pop as well with Hoskins and Bowers. Yeah, sign me up. Love Milwaukee today.
Yeah. Love this team today. Can't wait to play them. They're expensive, but I don't care. I really just don't care. We should.
Bryce Terang, 5,600 is just funny, but man, he's been so good that and the stolen bases are there.
We get Garrett Mitchell today, right?
Oh, is he back?
He came back Sunday. I think they activated him Sunday or Monday. They activated him, and then Gomber was pitching. So we get him today, right? I would be shocked if he's not in the lineup, right?
How much speed does this team have, man? It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, they're fast.
But good for Garrett Mitchell. Suffered that just horrible injury, so hate it when guys get injured. Glad to see him back. Even as a Cubs fan, this obviously hurts my team's chances, but glad to see Mitchell back for sure.
Yeah, so Monday, he came back Monday. So he played 12 rehab games in AAA, hit the ball really well, stole 4 bases in 12 games. Garrett Mitchell, baby. Here we go. Just a phenomenal price tag for Mitchell in Coors too. He didn't start, did he? I'm pretty sure he was in the lineup.
No, he came in for Perkins. He's got 2 at-bats, 1 hit. I just looked it up.
Blake Perkins not going to be playing a lot in this lineup with Mitchell back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the Brewers. Love the Brewers in this spot. Terang being expensive is fantastic because people won't play him. And Bryce Terang has been a phenomenal producer of fantasy points this year, all year long. 28 stolen bases, 6 home runs, and just a guy that keeps getting on base. So love that price tag on Terang to hopefully keep his ownership down. But yeah, love the Brewers. Let's talk Rockies. It's a really good spot for Colorado. Keuchel stinks. Tovar, we saw a huge game out of Doyle. Brendan Rodgers is probably going to be pretty chalky on this slate. He's 3,700 getting a soft toss and lefty, and he's crushed left-handed pitching this season. So I expect Rodgers to get a lot of ownership. Toglia, the first baseman, he's 4,300. He's crushed lefties this year. He's a 315 ISO. What are your thoughts here on the Rockies bats?
Yeah, it's Dallas Keuchel. He does not belong on a major league mound in 2024 or 23 or 22, or probably going back even further. But he's a very attackable pitcher at this point. The ball's going to be in play. Even if it's on the ground a little bit too much, that's totally fine in this park. Those rollers through the infield turn into doubles so often because the outfield has to play so deep. Love the Rockies. If McMahon is in there lefty, I'm all for that. I know he struggled a little bit lefty this year, but he was great against them last year. Maybe it's vice versa on that. But he's totally fine. Diaz at catcher. would absolutely love that. If Jones cracks the lineup lefty, I'm in on that too. Just love the stack.
Don't overthink the Coors game today. There's going to be a lot of runs scored in this game. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Angels at Oakland, 7.5. Pick'em game. My boy Jose Soriano back from the IL. Mitch Spence pitching for Oakland. It was an infection to the admin for Soriano. Didn't rehab. They did say that he could have like a slight restriction here. If I had to guess, Keith, I'd say he throws 70 to 80 pitches in this spot. Any interest in Soriano in Oakland against the Athletics?
Yeah, it's a great matchup going into Oakland. I'm concerned about that pitch count. I agree with you. I think it's probably in the 70 to 80 range. I'd probably lean closer to the 70 side of that. It's like 70 to 75. Is that enough at 7,500? That's the debate, right? It's obviously
strike out so much.
Yep. So, even if you only get 5 innings, you could get 6 or 7 strikeouts, and that might be enough to pay off 7,500. I'm intrigued. I wish we knew a little bit more about the pitch count, so I'll probably dig into that in the morning and see what we can find, if we can find anything. But like you said, with no rehab, you have to be concerned that he's a little bit limited here.
Yeah, they didn't even think that he was gonna make or go on the IL. He's been playing long toss. I'm sure he threw a bullpen or two. I mean, he could get his normal workload. If he only missed one start and he has been really close to being back. I will say the strikeouts have dipped down a little bit recently. Man, Oakland's bottom half of the lineup strikes out at a huge, huge clip. I'm on the fence. If we get some kind of the fact that the report said that he could potentially be limited worries me. Mitch Spence, he's really good at pitching to contact. Any interest in Spence here at 6,600?
It's the strikeouts that I'm concerned about here. Like you said, he's a contact guy. He's probably not going to go 6 clean innings. He could. It's a good matchup against the Angels. He did just face this team, and he gave up 6 runs over 5 innings. So I don't love that. It's a back-to-back start, and he just got blown up a decent amount by him in the last start. So I'm probably out. I just don't think there's a ton of strikeout upside anyway. I'll probably pass.
Yeah, you nailed it. He just faced this team, his last start, and got hit. I think Moniak hit a grand slam off him or something. I think I remember that correctly. Absolutely no chance. And I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, I'm going to play the Angels." His now Ward is banged up too. He got hit in the head by a pitch, so I don't know if he got technically put into concussion protocol or not for getting hit in the head, but I mean that'll rattle your cage for sure. Any interest here in the Angels bats?
There's just no talent here is the problem. I think they're fine to play against lefties, but against righties, I struggled to even find 1 or 2 names that I want to name. There's not a ton of talent here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd chase cheap power with Moniak. Willie Calhoun's $3K now. That is such a good price tag. But Moniak, he's 2,700. So yeah, cheap power. And the Oakland bats, they're really cheap too for a reason. I love playing Langeliers, just in general. The guy, he's a home run hitting catcher. And I think you could play Langeliers against really anybody. He has a 250 ISO against right-handed pitching this season. So Blade, Langeliers, maybe, but not going out of my way to stack Oakland by any means.
Yeah, I don't love the stack. The ballpark definitely limits upside. Soriano has had control issues, so if you want to play that angle, it's okay, but I don't think they have enough upside to win the slate, so probably more of a mini stack for me. Soderstrom is another cheap guy that I like to play. Love the Langeliers call. Blade is great as well. Those would probably be my 3 favorites for the price. Rooker has upside, but he's up to 4,900, so that's probably the way I'm looking to play it. A couple of 3-mans, but nothing beyond that.
All right, Baltimore at Seattle, 7 total pick'em game. Grayson Rodriguez, George Kirby. Let's start with Grayson Rodriguez. He's going to be the chalk today, and I can't talk myself off of it. I think he's the best pitcher on the slate today when you're considering matchup and price. Like, he's not been dominant this year as much as we kind of hoped. You know, after watching last year, he had a lot of dominant outings last year, but like, yeah, he has some positive regression coming to his numbers against righties this year. Like there's some positive things that you can see in the advanced stats for righties. The dude is just too good not to have interest against Seattle. He's just too good.
Yeah, completely agree. He's 9,400 and has the highest upside on the slate because of the matchup. Seattle strikes out more than anybody. The leash is good enough. They're not going to push him much beyond 100 unless it's like going perfectly. But should see around 95 pitches. Like you said, he hasn't quite taken that step forward that we wanted out of him this year. As he came into last year as one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. He's been very good. He just hasn't quite taken that next step to where he's entering like that Tariq Schoolball range of pitchers, right? He's really been more above average than he has been great, which is a little disappointing, but he'll get there eventually. I think I truly believe in the talent of this guy. And it's a fantastic matchup. So I'm totally with you. Even if he's popular, I'm going to be over the field on him.
He has 35 plus point upside. Like he has that in there. So yeah, I mean, I'm playing him. The interesting thing is George Kirby on the other side of this game. Kirby's having a phenomenal season. Just continues to pitch like quality outings. Mountcastle banged up, but still one of the best offenses in baseball with Baltimore. What are we doing with George Kirby going up against this tough offense?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really tough spot. Kirby's great. He's going to throw strikes. We know that. He's going to go 6 innings probably, maybe 7 if it goes great. But it's a really tough matchup against Baltimore. Is it going to be 6 clean innings? I'm not so sure that it is. And he's not like an elite strikeout pitcher. He's closer to league average. So he's 8,700, so we do get a little bit of a discount here for the matchup. I'm worried about the upside here against this Baltimore team. I think he's going to struggle to keep runs off the board, and like he's not going to get beat up or anything, but he probably gives up 2 or 3 runs. And without 7 or 8 strikeouts, I just don't know if that's enough. So I don't know. I will have to see what the ownership is. If he's completely unowned, sure, I'll take some large field tournament shots on him, but I don't love the spot for him.
Yeah, tough spot. This offense is really good. They don't strike out. They have a ton of power throughout the entire lineup. They're going to throw a lot of lefties at him in this spot, and that's where he typically struggles. So, yeah, I mean, I'm probably out considering the matchup and considering the amount of pitchers that we have on the slate. Bats, Baltimore's great, but I don't know if I want to pick on Kirby on an 11-game slate.
No, I do not want to do that. They're expensive. They're facing a great pitcher and a great bullpen. So I'm out on the Seattle Bats.
And I'm out on the Seattle Bats too. I know you mentioned Baltimore, but out on the Seattle Bats too.
Yeah, same.
All right, finishing the slate with Arizona at LA taking on the Dodgers, 8.5 total. Ryan Nelson against Bobby Miller, 200 favorite for the Dodgers here. Ryan Nelson against the Dodgers. Probably shouldn't play him against the Dodgers. It's probably not a good choice. Even though he put up 20 the last time he faced him, he's 5,300. He's not been awful, but I mean, I can't do it. Not against the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's been pretty awful.
Yeah,
there's
12.5% Ks, 50% hard hits. Yeah, I mean, he's not a good pitcher.
Nope. I'm out.
What are we doing? Any interest here in Bobby Miller?
I played so much of him in that start against the White Sox. He was loaned. Just did not work out. I'm concerned about the control. He has not been able to
Didn't I try to tell you not to play him?
Yeah,
weren't we on the podcast? And I was like, Keith, that's a terrible idea. And you're like, it's the White Sox. And I'm like, no, he's not going to throw a lot. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to I don't
know if plenty of times convicted on it, but you definitely tried to talk me off of it, and I did not get off of it. Did not work out well. But I'll attack the White Sox with anybody. So Bobby Miller coming.
That is not a bad statement. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm officially scared off now, though. the control has not been there all season. He's been in and out of the lineup. He's had a couple of injuries. I think I need to see a couple of good starts from him before I jump back on. Throw in the matchup against the high contact Arizona team, and I don't need to chase it on this big slate.
He can't throw strikes, dude. Like his strikes, like in the 60 pitches, I think I read that was only like 30%, 32% strikes. That's awful. That is not what you want. You want 60% strikes. Like that is what you're, as a pitcher, you're targeting 60% strikes. Yeah, he's been awful. He's walking people. He's getting hit really hard. Arizona has been struggling against right-handed pitching this season, but man, I just can't do it. Kind of like the bats in this game overall. It's the last game on the slate. It's the only 10 o'clock game. I think we get some lower ownership here. Starting with Peterson, Carroll, Marte is where I would start with Arizona. Walker at the top. Gary L is a fantastic price point at 4K. You're getting like stolen base upside with McCarthy at 3,900. Yeah, I mean, cheap catcher alert, right? Barnhart should catch or Herrera should catch, and they're both really cheap. So, like, if you're doing a stack and just saying I'm going to punt catcher, go right ahead. Yeah, I mean, no, so it'd be Herrera, right? Didn't Barnhart get it designated, and then Marino got hurt? So, like, Herrera should catch, right?
Barnhart did get designated.
Yeah, I forgot he got designated. It happened on Sunday, and I saw the alert, but yeah.
Yeah, they have to have two catchers. So it's probably Herrera.
Do they have a catcher prospect? Hold up.
Yeah, this
you talk about Arizona bats, and I'm going to look this up really quick.
Yeah, I mean, with Bobby Miller's control issues, you have to have interest here.
They do not have a catcher prospect.
That stinks. I wonder who's on the 40-man.
They have Delo Castillo. He's not like a huge prospect, but he's the guy. Like, he has a big arm and power, but he strikes out a lot. But I mean, he's hit 12 home runs in Double A before he got moved up to Triple A this year. I assume that
too. He's 2K.
I assume he's the guy. Yeah, he's the guy that's going to get called up, right?
Just because he's on the 40-man, if nothing else.
Yeah, he's slow, but he has power. Yeah,
is he in Triple A right now?
He got called up in Triple A. He started the season in Double A. Did we see him before?
I don't think so.
I thought we saw him before. Yeah, so he started his minor league career with Miami. I'm reading about him real quick. Good. I mean, his numbers look great, man. Like, even in AAA, his numbers don't look too bad. He's a power prospect. I mean, he's like a 90 percentile AAA prospect, like exit velocity prospect. Like, he has power, but he strikes out and he can't run fast. I wouldn't be shocked if they call him up and we get a 2K catcher here against Bobby Miller.
15 home runs in AAA this season. Sign me up for 2K. I'm all in on that. Love that.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. They play in Reno, so there's a lot of elevation parks, and like Albuquerque's a massive park.
Oh yeah, he plays in the PCL.
So, yeah, there's a ton of great home run parks. So numbers are inflated for sure, but looks like he's got some legit power at least for 2K.
Yeah, and his strikeouts are 280 ISO, 17% Ks. Like, why haven't they called this guy? Why is Barnhart catching at all? Yeah. I mean, no offense to Barnhart. I wouldn't be shocked if Castillo gets it. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets the call up here and gets a chance to start like in his first game.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Be all about that. And that would actually give me even more interest in the Arizona stack, just because it's going to make it easy to fit in Marte and Walker, the guys that we want to get up to. So Miller's control issue, a punt catcher in the stack. I'm about that for sure.
Dodgers, man, the Dodgers could be that leverage stack today. Like, they don't ever get the ownership because of the late slates, and they're expensive just like the Brewers. Like, it's hard not to like Ohtani. It's hard not to like Freddie. It's hard not to like Teoscar in this spot. It's really hard not to like the Dodgers against Ryan Nelson.
Yeah, I mean, the guy does not miss any bats whatsoever, and they have some of the best hitters in baseball. Ohtani's probably the top play on the slate outside of Coors. Freeman's fantastic. Will Smith, if he's in there. Teoscar. Even the cheap guys like Hayward, I know nobody likes clicking that button, but the dude hits righties still. His ISO's over 200, dating back even to last season. He's hit righties really well. So 3,500 for Hayward. I'm on board with that. Whatever other cheapies are in there, whatever you need to make it so that you can play some Ohtani and Freeman for sure.
All right, so let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. I mean, I really like the Woods Richardson Rodriguez combo. It opens up a lot at pitcher, and I mean, if you're wanting to take down the morning grind game, you're rooting against those guys because I think that's the combo that I'm going to go with here night before. But all right, under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got?
There's not a ton of great options today. Like even the pitchers with decent strikeout rates have tough matchups. Arrighetti is somebody I'm looking at, but Toronto not trying to chase strikeouts against them. Wisniewski might give up some home runs, but I think he can get it done. If he can get 80 pitches, I think he can get to 6 strikeouts.
I'm going to go Woods Richardson. The Detroit lineup is just bad. I mean, it's just he's gotten over 6 strikeouts in 3 of his last 5 starts. So hopefully he can keep it going here against a bad Detroit lineup. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
I will go with give me Singer. It's just it's not that I'm afraid of Tampa Bay. I just don't trust the strikeout upside. If he gives up a couple of runs, he doesn't go super deep into games. I'll go Singer.
Man, I think like this guy probably goes for like 30 or 5. Give me Luis Gil against the Reds. Yep. Like I don't think there's any in between right now with him. Huge ceiling, or I mean, the Reds can strike out with the best of them. It's a very young team that's dealing with injuries, so the fade is scary. I don't know if I'd fade him fully in DFS if I'm playing like 20 or more lineups, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is a tough spot. Over 4K to hit a home run, not in Coors. Who's going yard today?
Is Shohei Ohtani cheating? Because this is an awesome spot for Shohei.
It's such a good spot for him. I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Such a good spot. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go... I think I'm going to go right to 4K and say that Brandon Marsh hits a home run off your boy Wazinski today. Wind blown out. That wet hair look for Marsh. It'd be trotting around the bases today. Give me Marsh to go yard in this one. Under 4K to get 2 hits, not in Coors. Who do you like?
Give me George Springer. I think he unlocked something with that new hitting coach. Not terrified of the matchup against Arrighetti.
Oh, I was joking. I don't know if there's actually a new hitting coach. I was just joking.
I think they did.
Because
they did.
Did they? It makes.
I think
sense.
They did let their hitting coach go. It was a couple of weeks ago, but
I'm looking it up because I was joking. I was like, "Hey, they're starting to hit the ball in the air. Maybe they got a new hitting coach." But I was definitely joking.
I wish I would have paid close. Like I was half paying attention to the game when they were talking about that bit with Springer, but it was definitely something adjusting with his swing, and he's been getting results here over the last week and a half or so. So I'm buying into it. We've known he's a better hitter than what he's shown this season, and it looks like he's finally starting to turn it around. So, new hitting coach or not, I like him today.
One of the coldest hitters in baseball is Dalton Varsho. I mean, I like the matchup for him, but I don't know if I could get him to get 2 hits today. I will say, like, my favorite under 4K is Mitchell. Not close, but we take Coors out for this game, so I can't pick him. I'm going to go to the Dodgers and say Jason Hayward to get 2 hits today. Absolutely love this matchup for him. And, I mean, he's been hitting pretty well, so don't hate it. But favorite under 4K, not even remotely close, is Mitchell today. Stack to score 6 or more runs. Who do you got?
Going all the way back to the beginning with this one, give me the Yankees against Ashcraft. He's just not going to strike anybody out. Lots of power in that New York lineup.
Harper out, Schwarber out, Realmuto out. Doesn't matter. Give me the 6 lefties for Philadelphia today, going up against Wazinski with the wind blowing out in Wrigley. It's the lefties. They're not the best lefties in the world, but it's there's enough lefties in this lineup that I think they're going to give him trouble. And I didn't want to say Milwaukee or the Dodgers, and you took the Yankees is what I wrote down. So any player props or pick'em plays that you like on this slate?
There's plenty out there. I was really hoping that Rodriguez came in at 6.5 strikeouts. Unfortunately, he's at 7.5. And it's not even plus money on the over. If that falls to plus money, I might take Rodriguez over 7.5. But not a bet for me at this moment. Wesneski is down at 3.5. It's big juice on the over, minus 155. What I'm looking at right now, I still like that. I think he goes 80 pitches in this one. And Philly's lineup is really watered down. It's the lefties. If they happen to only roll out 4 lefties instead of 5 or 6, then I would hammer that over 3.5 for Wesneski. Skubal is plus money at over 6.5. I kind of like that as well. We talked about how good Minnesota has been as an offense against lefties, but Trey Skubal is, I mean, he might be the best pitcher in baseball. Like the 2 best pitchers in baseball might be on the same team there with as good as Flaherty's been this season, but Skubal plus money over 6.5. I'm into that.
Yeah, I'm going to go to that Tampa Bay Kansas City game and Zach Littell under 15.5 outs. You can get this right now on Caesars at minus 120. It's minus 130 on DK. I absolutely love this line. I bet this one earlier, so I love it. A guy that they're very quick to get out of games anyway, and it's a tough matchup. There's potential weather. I think everything playing into our favor here with Littell under 15.5 outs today. So I was with you. I was really hoping Rodriguez to strikeout prop was in our favor, but it's not. So I passed on that one. The other one that I thought was interesting was Bobby Miller. His outs were at 16.5, and they took that down. It's not up anymore. Yeah,
16.5 was a bad
number.
It
probably got absolutely hammered. It was up on our back end, what we use for scores and odds, that like Keith and I do all of our write-ups and stuff. And I didn't even actually check score or books to see if it was up, but that's what it was up. Any lines, any other bets that you like here on this slate?
The total in Coors has me staring at it. 11.5 is a big number, but these are 2 bad pitchers. The Brewers are a really good offense. I think the Brewers could go over 11.5 by themselves, and I wouldn't be surprised. So give me the over in Coors.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down Milwaukee over their total runs, so I'm with you on this.
I like that even better. Yep.
So right now, like if you take Milwaukee over 5.5, it's minus 125. You can get over 6.5 at plus money. Brewers are going to score some runs today. Whether you like I like the 5.5 if you are just trying to double up, 1.25 unit per unit. But I might sprinkle in over 6.5 too. So I'm with you. That's what I had written down. I love the Brewers today. Not even like remotely thinking twice about it. I was hoping that we get a little bit of value out of the Philly lines, but not really. You can get over 4.5 at minus 105. I don't necessarily hate that. But I'm going to wait to bet Phillies until I see what Roth has to say about the wind and what Weather Edge is looking at with the wind and stuff in that one. So let's go Coors. Shocked. We like Coors.
Yeah. I'm going to find a way to back Grayson Rodriguez. I don't know how yet. Like I said, I don't love the strikeout number at 7.5. I don't know I didn't look at the first 5 money line yet, but that might be the angle. But I love the spot for Rodriguez. I wish there was a way I could bet with him.
All right, I posted a link to the Morning Grind game one more time in the YouTube chat. I'll try to remember to pin it to the comments section as well. That's going to wrap it up here for Tuesday. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. We're back tomorrow talking baseball. We'll see you then.